The Mockingbird Media controls the narrative. We help you determine what is real and what is not.
Global conspiracy with key players at the highest levels of power reaches into the lives of every man, woman, and child on this planet.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no Satans. Tuesday, October 11, 2023, our guests are Paul Dale Roberts. Paul Roberts is a 14 investigator investigating all things paranormal, from UFOs to ghosts to demons to cryptids. He is an author of over 73 paranormal books. He is a journalist for Phenomena Magazine, plus So You Can Find, Outer Limits Magazine, and Paranormal Underground Magazine. Our next guest is Dr. Carlos Zavos, father of andrology. Professor Dr. Carlos Zavos has devoted more than 40 years to academia, clinical services, and research. His groundbreaking developments around new and innovative technologies in the field of human reproductive medicine and cloning have had worldwide implications. Our next guest is Dr. Lana Pantos, inspired by wellness. She is a board-certified naturopath and executive health consultant. Try her Zenith weight loss. Her motto is, be the boss of your own body. Rounding out the final hours of information is Brad Conley. Brad is a JD, an independent investigative journalist and researcher on the deep state, who is fighting corruption in Irvine, California, aka the OC. Don't forget to subscribe to the Dark Outpost at darkoutpost.tv. There you will find exclusive content, interviews, documentaries, and intel not found anywhere else. For the full show, go to awakenation.tv. Falling down the rabbit hole can hurt. Ouch. Ow. That's gonna hurt. We will provide the researchers and whistleblowers. Your mission is to discern the truth from the MSN lies. And now for the interview portion of the Awake Nation. And awake we go with a shot of espresso. It's showtime.
Yes, indeed, showtime. Welcome back to the Awake Nation. Spending hours Shepherd and David Dublik with you, and joining us now, our first guest, Paul Dale Roberts. Mr. Roberts, welcome to the Awake Nation. Glad to have you with us.
Good morning, Penny and David. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. I know it's early in your neck of the woods.
Oh yeah, it's early. I mean, I haven't looked. Well, I'm retired now, so I usually sleep in. So this was a little bit different.
Yeah, well, that sleeping in stuff's just, you're done with that.
Oh my gosh.
But, you know, people think, hey, I'm retired. It's great. And really, because, like, you're probably, I know David and I are busier now than, I know I'm busier now than I was before.
Oh, absolutely. Now that I'm retired, I mean, I have more time to write my articles, publish my books, paranormal investigations, and like October 14th, Saturday, we have an all-night UFO ghost hunt. So, yeah, we're going to be busy. Yeah, so, yeah, now that I'm retired, I'm very busy.
So
But I still like to sleep in, though.
How did you get into this, Paul?
How did I get in? Oh, well, as a child, I lived in a haunted house on Effie Street in Fresno. All kinds of terrible things were happening to me. The entities were focused on me. And I was pushed into a heater. I went to my bedroom window and I was looking into the orange grove. And there was a woman that sounded like my mother saying, Dale, come here. That's my middle name, Dale. Dale, come here. trying to entice me to go into that orange grove. What would have happened to me if I did? I don't know. But my mother was in the kitchen, so it was mimicking my mother's voice. And I could go on with it, but there was a lot of things that happened to me. And so when I got a little bit older, I started wondering, I said, was that childhood nightmares? Or did that really, really, truly happen? So I started reading books by Brad Steiger, Chariot of the Gods with Eric Von Däniken. I got into the whole paranormal thing. And as I went on in my life, I went into military intelligence because I was very curious. I said, I wasn't even a paranormal investigator yet, but I was very curious. I said, if anybody knows anything about UFOs, it'd be military intelligence. So I became an intelligence analyst, 97 Bravo, and I was stationed in Seoul, Korea with the Photo Interpretation Center in Korea. I worked with image interpreters. And what they did was they would look at a little dot and would tell you it's a T-72 tank. I had a top secret SBI clearance, special background investigation. And one particular day, 6 photographs came in. And those 6 photographs were taken by our reconnaissance satellites and reconnaissance aircraft of 6 UFOs. And they were part of a bigger picture. Those photographs were part of videos of the UFOs. And I saw, with those 6 photographs, there was the disc shape, the cigar shape, something that looked like ball lightning, some boomerang shape, on and on. And on the back of each photograph, it said intelligent movement. So I knew at that point in time that even though Project Blue Book closed down in 1969, the military was still investigating UFOs. And my job was to simply give each photograph a number. And I passed it on to the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency. From there, it went to the CIA and vanished. It went into like a black hole and was gone. So that in turn kind of gave me my investigative skills. And to become a paranormal investigator, just one day, I was already a journalist. I was doing articles for the Sacramento Bee and everything else. And this one investigator came up to me and says, Paul, why don't you write a story about our ghost hunting group? I said, yeah, why not? So I went to the National Hotel. I met the owner of HPI. At that time it was called Haunted Paranormal Investigations. And I said, I would like to write a story about it. And she goes, yeah, I love the press. And she took me around, showed me everything. And that story was published in 2 British magazines. So she was so impressed. She says, hey, I want you to join our team, be our ghost writer, and write about our adventures. I said, yeah, sure. So at some point in time, though, she got tired of doing what she was doing, and she had me become the general manager. And then after that, she had me own HPI, which is now Halo Paranormal Investigations. And here I am, a paranormal investigator, and I have my own group, HPI, and I've been paranormal investigating for a while now.
And obviously, to me, that would be one of the most fascinating things anyone could do. I mean, what do you make of, because you've had quite a lot of experience, what do you make of most of the, for example, television shows that you see on some of the reality, HGTV, A&E, and all this kind of stuff, Nat Geo, of these paranormal investigators? Is a lot of that staged in your view, or is it real?
Well, if you look into my IMDb, Paul Dale Roberts IMDb, you see that I was involved with a lot of documentaries.
Right.
And I will give you the truth. Okay, reality TV shows are not real. It's, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, Okay, with all the paranormal investigating that I've done, you just don't walk in the house and get evidence just like that. I mean, it's just, I'm sorry. I mean, sometimes it takes a while. And what I see is just, there's a lot of BS there. Yeah, so, and I've been there, I've seen it. But with some of my investigations, what I do is, um, I'll give you an example. We had this one home that was haunted by a ghost by the name of Emily. And Emily would drain the energy from the occupants. So, as we were investigating, one of the investigators says, Paul, I feel really fatigued. I need to sit down. I don't know what's wrong with me. All my energy level is just gone. I said, wow, I wonder if Emily's doing that to you. So I said, Emily, if you're listening to me, I said, kiss him on the lips, and three of us are snapping photos, and we get an orb on his lips. I said, oh my gosh, Emily is listening. This is intelligent movement. Just like in military intelligence with those UFOs, we have intelligent movement. And so I said, Emily, if you're listening again, sit on his lap. And we snap a photograph, and the orb is now hovering over his lap. And I said, that is something I can deem as paranormal, because it's listening to me, doing what I'm asking it to do. So, in some of my investigations, what I do is I'll put my hand on the wall, and I said, if you're listening to me and you're haunting this house, appear by my hand. And if the place is haunted, I'll get an orb on my hand. So that shows like intelligent movement.
Now, who did you investigate who Emily was? Who was Emily?
We never got that information. We did try to get information on that, but we just didn't. Emily.
I'm assuming.
Yeah.
I'm assuming sometimes the homes you investigate do have a history.
Oh yeah.
That you can rely upon. I was just curious. I didn't know if Emily was a child, if Emily was an adult woman, or.
I presume that Emily was an adult woman because the occupants said that they've seen her apparition and she is a full-grown adult. Yeah.
And when a house is haunted, for example, by a particular individual, does that automatically mean that they have a history with that house, or can an entity or the spirit of someone haunt a place that they never lived at before? In other words, could Emily have never been anywhere associated with that house, but now she's occupying it in the present time?
The land itself, she could be attached to the land and not particularly the house. And as, excuse me, as with ghosts, let's say you go to an antique shop and you pick up this old diary from the 1800s and it belonged to Martha. Well, you bring the diary home, and now Martha the ghost can now haunt the place where she lived at, and now also to haunt your home because you are in possession of her diary. Her energy is around that diary, so now she can go from point A to point B. And it seems like ghosts, like if you don't want to go into the light, you're sort of confined to an area that you're familiar with. They say, oh, the ghost police might stop them and say, okay, you don't want to go into the light, then you're stuck in this house till you're ready to go. And that's what I see. Unless you take an object that they are very familiar with and their energy is absorbed around that object and you take it home or something, then that ghost can follow you.
Interesting. Now, you've been doing this for quite some time. Do you get frightened while you're doing this, or have you so used to it now that you're not scared by some of the things you uncover.
No, I'm not afraid of ghosts. I do a lot of demonic cases, and with the demonic cases, I will do a Roman Catholic house blessing, and I'm very successful with that. I learned it from two priests, and when I first started it, I wasn't really sure if I was going to be successful, but then I started getting phone calls. Hey, the demon's gone. And then also too, if they have an attachment, I will do a full submersion baptism, and I would say I'm 80% successful with that. So, and I was really amazed when I first did it because the person goes, "Oh my God, the attachment's gone, Paul." I said, "Really?" I was just so shocked, And so now, if someone says, "Hey, I have an attachment," I give them that option. I said, "I'll give you a full submersion baptism," because that's a basic form of exorcism, which a lot of people don't even realize, and it seems to work.
Oh, you've written what, like how many books?
About 73 books.
Wow.
I know. I just.
When I contacted you, it's like, how did you find me? And I had been searching. I don't even know how I connected with you. I know it was through Facebook, but how I found you. And then I looked at your thing. And I was like, 73 books.
So, were you like 4 when you started writing?
Hey, when I was a little kid, I was writing a diary, and I saved all those diaries and I donated them to the Library of Congress and to California State Library. So I've been writing all my life.
So have I. When I was little, I had Paul, when I was like 5, I had an office in my closet.
An office in your closet?
I did. I set up an office in my
closet.
Oh my
gosh.
And then I also drew a card that said I work for God.
Wow. That's
Nothing's
amazing.
changed. When I turned 60, I still had an office in my closet because I didn't have I didn't have the means to have an office because I had been made homeless at one point. But I had an office in my closet, and I looked around and I was like, oh my God, I'm 60. Nothing's changed from when I was like 5. So we are, essentially who we are at that early age. So when you were a child, that was your destiny. Did you ever find out, do you believe in extraterrestrial factions?
As for extraterrestrials, I mean, I believe that they're very real. I believe that extraterrestrials, not only do we have that, but we have interdimensional type entities. Yeah, they go from their reality to our reality. So, yeah, absolutely. And plus, I was in military intelligence, and I saw the 6 photographs that came in. So I definitely, am a believer. We're not alone. Yeah, we're not alone, and we never were alone. So.
Why did you join military intelligence again?
Well, it's kind of funny because from 73 to 76, I was in the Army. I was working for CID, Criminal Investigation Division. I was an MP working undercover with the Drug Suppression Team. 1979, I went into military intelligence, but this is how I got into it. I was sitting in a movie theater watching James Bond, and I go, what is it those military intelligence guys do? Because I remember seeing them all the time. And so before I knew it, I was talking to an Army recruiter, and I go, what is it that military intelligence does? I used to see those guys, and this Army recruiter, he was good. He was talking to me, and before I knew it, I was signing on the dotted line and going going
You
back.
know that Ian Fleming was military intelligence, British military intelligence. He worked with Ivor Bryce, who was also British military intelligence, and he lived in Long Island, and his sister was married to the heir, the AMP heir. Well, his wife was the sister of the AMP heir, which owned Hog Island, which became Paradise Island, and his name was Huntington Hartford. And that's a whole nother military story, which I researched.
Yeah, I mean, military intelligence was an experience. While I was there, I was taken to Operation Tango, which was an underground complex inside of a mountain. And they blacked out all the windows on the bus. And it was a listening post underneath this mountain. And we were listening to Red China at the time and North Korea. So my experience with military intelligence was very interesting. But I have to tell you about living ghosts. And this is something, that I've embraced in the paranormal field. Back in 1974, this couple moved into this house. And around about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, they would see an apparition of a man walking over to the couch. And an apparition of a woman would appear. And he would walk over to this woman and strike her.
Oh, wow.
And then it would just dissipate. It would just vanish. And so one day this couple, they go to a block party. And at the block party, the host says, yeah, we do this every year. And here's our photo albums of our past events. So the lady's looking at the photographs, and then she goes, oh my God, this photograph here of this couple. She goes, these are the ghosts in our house. These are the ghosts that we see. And the host looks at the picture and he goes, ghosts? What are you talking about? He goes, yeah, they did live in your house. They had domestic disputes. The police were there all the time. And they got a divorce. She lives 5 blocks down the road, very much alive. And the husband lives out of state, and he's very much alive. So what you have a situation there is the negative energy from the assault of the husband to the wife
Was living in that house, but the couple itself weren't dead.
Yes,
Wow.
exactly. It's imprinted in the atmosphere, and it replays itself over and over again. And some of our investigation are not ghosts of deceased people, but ghosts of living people. And those are what
So resonant energy from negative forces from live human beings is still impactful, because the negative energy is unfortunately something that I believe the elites utilize to control us through the fear mongering and through the negative energy. I mean, I'm feeling it right now because I am an empath, but I'm feeling it with this war, which I believe was absolutely contrived under the guise of the United States government.
I know, and what's happening in Israel, I mean, I pray for those people. I mean, it's so terrible. I mean, the babies, 40 babies found dead, some beheaded. It's horrible, horrible, horrible stuff that's going on. That's just pure evil, and God bless Israel.
The war in and of itself is that resonant negative energy. So if you were to go to Israel, to some of these places and some of these kibbutz and houses where this negative energy is, would you say that it might reside there for a very long time?
Forever. I mean, it's energy. Energy can't be destroyed. And what's ever imprinted into the atmosphere will replay itself over and over and over again. And it doesn't even have to be negative energy. It could actually be positive energy. We did an investigation at Evangeline's, which is a costume shop. And on the 3rd floor, back in the 70s, was a disco. And people hear the shuffling of feet people laughing, and they actually hear disco music late at night. And it's positive energy. People are feeling good, and they blasted out that energy.
I think they're staying alive.
And Penny, it's funny. It's funny that you would say that because if you, it's funny you would say that because if you Google Paul Dale Roberts disco, you'll find out I had the Guinness Book World Records of disco dancing for 205 hours, 8.5 days.
Good God, Paul.
Yeah, and I was in Ripley's, believe it or not, with the disco dancing. I was the
Were you
disco.
dancing with your wife?
Huh? No. This was back in the 70s. Yeah, she
I
was.
remember my brother was a really good dancer, and at the time I wasn't all that good. Like I danced kind of weird because I'm a singer, and so he took me to this club called Deja Vu in Costa Mesa, and he was wearing the white suit and everything. He said, "Don't worry, Penny, let me handle this." And I will. He like literally spun me around. I did everything right, and he cleared the dance floor, and you know I was not a dancer. Okay, I'm a singer and a writer and an entertainer, and he cleared the dance floor and did the Staying Alive thing with the the whole thing, and we had a resounding. Everyone was clapping afterwards, and I was like, wow. I can't even dance, but you made me look like I can.
And your living ghost is probably still doing it.
She's dancing in the studio right now. Here it is. According to your LinkedIn and according to the Sacramento Express, Paul Dale Roberts, Sacramento Disco King, 1979. It looks a little bit like
You're
Nancy Logan.
fascinating, Paul.
What's that?
You're fascinating.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've
You
had
have to have me back.
I've had a,
You have to come back.
I've had a crazy life.
We are just beginning to explore your fantastic life, and we definitely want to have you back on some kind of a regular basis because you have so much to contribute. And so please, Penny will get with you and come back. In the meantime, where can people find you and your books and everything else?
Oh, okay. And it's just real simple. All you have to do either use Bing or Google Paul Dale Roberts books, and they all start appearing. So it's real easy. And you'll find them on Amazon. Some on Amazon, some at Barnes and Nobles, but they're just all over the place.
All 72 of them?
Good God.
You know, I'm just like really amazed because I'll Google